When we think of the Star Wars galaxy, we think of things like scaly bounty hunters, obese crime lords, and of course, those lightsaber-wielding maniacs running around the galaxy. The Sith and the Jedi have been trying to kill each other for thousands of years, and these legendary battles have been documented in the history of the Star Wars galaxy, and us fans absolutely love it. Duels like Revan against Malak, Anakin and Obi-Wan, Luke against Vader, and much more have left us fans with our jaws on the floor, typically next to a severed hand or two. Which is why today I decided to put together a mock of a lightsaber duel from every Star Wars movie. Now I know you all love lightsabers and are quick to tell me when my Lego lightsabers are incorrect or upside down. Which is why I think everyone will appreciate the sponsor of today's video, Damien Saber, who sent me this Lego lightsaber hilt to show you guys. I actually really like this lightsaber. It has a metal hilt, it can adjust colors, you can adjust the volume to be really loud, really quiet, or completely mute, and it just has a bunch of other really cool features. So big thank you to Damien Saber for sending this over. I highly recommend y'all check them out, and I will put a link to their website in the description below. But as always, sit back and relax, maybe grab yourself a sippy, and enjoy as I build these lightsaber battles from every Star Wars movie. When you think of the Phantom Menace, only one lightsaber duel should come to mind: the Duel of Fates. Some say this was the most important lightsaber duel in all of Star Wars, as the fight was for not only the fate of a young Anakin Skywalker, but the rest of the galaxy. And who can forget John Williams' iconic background music? But this duel is one of my favorites in all of Star Wars. Qui-Gon, Maul, and Obi-Wan are three characters that people love, so seeing them fight was awesome. And this mock captures the start of their fight in the Royal Naboo hangar. I wanted to recreate the doorway where we see Maul reveal himself to the Jedi and begin the fight. So I decided to make the doorway and wall using this snot technique and added some small detail throughout the build. All in all, I think this build came out great. I've never done a Naboo mock before, but I'm actually really happy with how my first one came out. I remember just how excited I was for the release of Attack of the Clones, and honestly, I still love this movie to this day. And one highlight from this movie has to be the first time we see Yoda use his lightsaber. Now, I was just as shocked as you were when that little green goblin started flying around my screen in the early 2000s, but that is exactly what I wanted to build for this mock. And this build was pretty simple due to the lack of colors in the Geonosian hangar that we saw. So I pretty much just made a dark gray floor and added some different brown details on the walls. Now, like I said, this mock is the Geonosian hangar that we see in the end of episode 2, where Dooku absolutely solos Anakin and Obi-Wan, but is forced to retreat when Yoda shows up. And this is actually my first time using Yoda in a mock, and I'm really happy I could use this little green guy. Now, episode 3 has a lot of amazing lightsaber battles, like Anakin vs. Dooku, Obi-Wan and Grievous, Yoda and Sidious. Like, this movie delivers in terms of lightsaber battles. But there is one that everyone thinks of when they think of episode 3, and that has to be Anakin vs. Obi-Wan on Mustafar, which is what I decided to build for episode 3. And this mock is kind of a different one than ones we've seen in the past, because I built the lava trail as foundation and then built the Mustafar facility on top of that. And honestly, this is one of my favorite builds in this entire video. I think this mock really captures the duel on Mustafar, but I'm curious what you think so far. Out of the 3 prequel builds, which one do you think was the best? Let me know, and let's get on to the original trilogy. Now, there is only one lightsaber duel from episode 4, and it's actually the first ever lightsaber duel in Star Wars, and that is Vader vs. Obi-Wan on the Death Star, where Obi-Wan sacrifices himself. And for this one, I just made a tiny little hallway mock of Vader and Obi-Wan fighting right before Obi-Wan sacrifices himself and gets his head kind of chopped off by Vader. For this one, I used the classic Death Star wall technique and added some other small details, and honestly, I really did like this final build. I really like the small brick style of it and the fact that even though it's so small, you can still tell what scene it is from the movie. Episode 5 is one of the best Star Wars movies that introduces us to characters like Yoda and places like Cloud City. And when you think of The Empire Strikes Back, most people think of this moment.
No, I am your father.
That's right, I had to make the Luke I am your father scene. Now, I wasn't going to remake the whole Cloud City set, but I decided to make something very similar to the recent anniversary set that we saw in a couple years back. So I made the little pillar that Luke hangs off of after his dad cuts his hand off, and made sure to add a lot of details and pipework to the build. I didn't have a Cloud City Luke minifig, so I actually replaced the head on this Captain Antilles minifigure to make this Luke. And I think this mock is very reminiscent of the scene in the movie. I really like the detail I was able to capture. I can really understand what scene I'm looking at just by looking at this mock. And again, I'm really happy with this build. The Return of the Jedi was an amazing ending to the original trilogy, where we see the second Death Star destroyed and the Emperor defeated. And I built the final battle on the Death Star, where we see Luke defeat Vader and cut off his hand again. For this mock, I wanted to build the catwalk they fight over and make sure to add as many pipes as possible so I could get as much detail into the build. So I decided to make as many round posts as possible and add details in a lot of different ways using those pieces. I also made sure to add some guardrails for my Vader to hang on to for dear life as his son completely wails on him. And at the end of the day, I think this build was great. I haven't made a Death Star mock before this video, and I think the builds I put together for the original trilogy were a great way to build new scenes and places. But which one of these builds was your favorite? I'm super happy I was able to build all the Star Wars builds. That's right, I always forget you're a sequel fan. It's probably why you haven't been in a video up until this point. Fine. In my opinion, The Force Awakens is the best movie from the sequel trilogy. We were introduced to new characters like Kylo Ren, Rey, and Finn, along with some familiar faces like Leia and Han Solo. But when I think of this movie, I think about the travesty that they did to Ilum to turn it into Starkiller Base.
Look how they massacred my boy.
But I decided to build the duel that Rey and Kylo have in the Forest of Ilum as Starkiller Base implodes all around them. This was really simple to make. I just made a snowy ground and added a handful of trees in there. And there you have it, the first ever sequel build of the Cantina Top channel. It only feels right that we start off with Kylo and Rey, as they are obviously the major characters of the sequel trilogy, and we will definitely be seeing more of them in this video. I'm not gonna lie, I saw episode 8 like 4 times in theaters, and don't ask me why. Now, I don't have a Snoke minifig or Praetorian Guards, so I decided to build the moment where Rey and Kylo fight over the Skywalker lightsaber. This was a really simple mock to make since the background was literally just red. Besides that, I built a throne and added a little fun detail. And honestly, I think this mock turned out great and I am happy with the final result. Now, there aren't a lot of positive things that you can really say about The Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, they fly now!
They fly now! They fly now!
So with that being said, let's just get right into the build. I decided to build the scene where Rey channels all of the Jedi to defeat Palpatine somehow. Exegol is a pretty gray planet, so I built the monument that Palpatine and Rey fight in front of and even added his little throne. I didn't have an episode 9 Palpatine minifigure, so I decided to combine my episode 3 and episode 6 minifigs to create this guy.
What do you mean they blew up the Death Star?
But in the end, I think this scene came out fine. To be honest, I've only seen Rise of Skywalker once or twice, which actually really surprises me when I think about it. But now we have officially built a lightsaber battle from every Star Wars movie. Let me know which was your favorite and what other scenes you would like to see from the Star Wars movies. And again, I want to give a major shout out to Damian Saber. To be honest, I have received lightsabers in the past, but this one is by far my favorite. They're really playing to my interest here by sending me this Lego hilt, but I swear I've been changing the colors on this for like 3 days and I keep finding new ones, which is awesome. This is the first ever sponsorship on the Cantina Top channel, so if you're interested, I really recommend you give them a look, and again, I'll link their website in the description. But if you like this video, I recommend you check out some of my other builds here, and if you're looking for some other cool minifigs, maybe check out this video here. But as always, thanks for swinging by the Cantina today. I wish you safe travels, and I'll see you in the next one.